This tutorial will review the steps for an evaluator completing the pre-observation process. The first step is to go to login.teachscape.com. Make sure you use Google Chrome and avoid Internet Explorer. Log in as an administrator. I'm going to go ahead and use a test account to model the system, but you can actually use your real accounts or an administrator account that you may have. Once you log in, we are going to access Teachscape Reflect. Now the steps I'm going to be modeling would happen after a teacher has submitted their lesson plans and any artifacts and their pre-conference planning form. So the very first step is to go up to the practitioner name. This is where we're going to find a practitioner or the teacher that we are completing an observation or evaluation for. So type in the teacher name, and I have selected Review Teacher 1 because that is the teacher that I'm going to be evaluating. Click under the first formal observation. And when we click on the first formal classroom observation, we can review any documents that were submitted by the teacher. So if I click on Domain 1, Lesson Plans, I can actually view that lesson plan by selecting View. And I can download that lesson plan by clicking on the download button, opening it up, and reviewing that lesson plan. I can also download any additional artifacts that were submitted. So for example, I have some student assessment samples that were also submitted. So I'm going to download that and open that up and take a look at it. Now this is something that I can discuss with the teacher during the pre-conference, or before I even have the pre-conference. This might be something that I would like the teacher to revisit before we actually meet. Now I may have to reschedule the pre-conference as well. That would fall under the scheduling feature here. But I could send this back for revision. So if I needed the teacher to make some revisions to their lesson plan, I can simply go to the More drop-down and select Request Revision. And when I do that, it will send it back to the teacher, and the teacher will be able to make edits to it and send it or submit it back to the evaluator. The next thing would be to access the pre-observation conference planning form. Again, I can view this by selecting View. And if I needed to request revision, I can do that as well. Let's say I needed the teacher to go back and add a little bit more to their pre-conference planning form. I can simply select Request Revision from the More drop-down. Now, if I want to include these responses for the pre-conference planning form, I can include them in the actual live observation. So what I would need to do is download this form that they have completed. And I've downloaded into a PDF. And I'm going to open it into a new window right here. And here are the responses. And what I can do is I can actually open the live observation where I'm going to be collecting data around domains 2 and 3. And I'm going to enter in the information for domain 1. I'm going to simply cut and paste from the planning form into the live observation so that we have notes, we have all the notes in one area. And later we can include some of the critical attributes. You can add more information as well during the pre-conference, or you can gather data for teacher performance in domain 1 as you sit and have the conversation with the teacher during the pre-conference planning form. So I'm going to click on the formal observation. And I'm going to start that observation, and I'm simply going to cut and paste the responses for each of the domain 1 components. So I'm going to cut, paste, and I'm going to go ahead and align it with component 1A. Click on OK. I'm going to go to the next one for 1B, cut and paste, and align that one with 1B. And I can continue cutting and pasting until I've collected all the data from this pre-conference planning form and included it in my notes and evidence. Again, this way I have all of my notes and evidence in one area. So after I've completed cutting and pasting all the responses from the pre-conference planning form, I can save and finish later. Now I don't want to submit or start any scoring because this is the same area that I will go back to during the actual observation to gather more notes and evidence and include information from the actual observation in that same section. But we do want to keep it all in one place. So now you'll see that it is in progress, and when it's time to actually go in and do the observation, I can simply click on Edit and go back into my notes and evidence collection and continue with the actual live observation. This completes the tutorial for the Evaluator's steps in completing the pre-observation process.